Greetings in Jesus' wonderful name and welcome to Riverside Chats. I began a series on women who met the Master. Today we're going to start a new series on a woman called Mary of Bethany. We've been doing quite a few Marys. We've done Mary Magdalene, then we did Mary the mother of Jesus, and now we are going to study Mary of Bethany. The location of Bethany is a few kilometers outside Jerusalem. Many times pilgrims who would be traveling to Jerusalem would stop in Bethany. And one of the most famous people for Christians in Bethany, or followers of Jesus, was the home of Mary and Martha and Lazarus. It was the same Lazarus that Jesus raised from the dead. Mary of Bethany is undoubtedly one of the most wonderful examples of somebody devoted to Christ. She appears in the Gospels alongside her siblings, Lazarus of Bethany and Martha of Bethany. As we look at Mary of Bethany, she teaches us how to love Jesus deeply, how to listen to him attentively, and how to worship him sacrificially. She is featured in two passages. One is the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verses 38 to 42. And then she's also featured in the Gospel of John, in John chapter 11 and John chapter 12. Women followed Jesus closely. They loved him dearly and sacrificially. They were great disciples. There was not a lot of drama with the women. For the most part, with the women, there was faithful following. It is important to understand that the Jewish society was a very patriarchal society, which means it was a male-dominated society. I think that is the reason why Jesus didn't include women in the 12 disciples. But don't you forget that women were the closest of Jesus' disciples, those who learned from him, his learners, his followers. We look at Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42. The Bible declares, "Now it happened as they went that he entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at the feet of Jesus and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached Jesus and said, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore tell her to help me.' And Jesus answered and said to her, 'Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen the good part, which will not be taken away.'" We are looking at Mary of Bethany. Mary is at Jesus' feet. I believe that is the posture of a true disciple. By posture, I mean where we sit, how we sit and how we stand, the position of the body. When Jesus visited the home of Lazarus and Martha and Mary, Martha was busy serving in other words, she was busy cooking and baking and doing all the work herself. But Mary was not helping her. She was sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to his teaching. Now, some truths about those days. Sitting at a rabbi's feet was the posture of a disciple. And this is exactly what Mary is doing. She is sitting at Jesus' feet. In the caption, you can see her at the feet of Jesus. I believe it's not portrayed in this caption, but she was looking at Jesus, looking into his eyes as he taught, taking every word. She loved the revelation that came from the Master. Remember, he taught with authority. The Greek word is the word exousia. He taught with power and authority. The word for power is dunamis. And in his case, it was miraculous power. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. Although this will happen in the future, Jesus would do one of the greatest resurrections from the dead in this household. Lazarus, the brother of Martha and Mary, would die, and after 4 days he would raise him from the dead. So the posture of a good disciple was to be at the feet of the teacher. Mary was a disciple. She sat at the rabbi's feet, and Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. Mary chose relationship over activity. Christianity is not so much a religion, it is a relationship between God and the individual. Mary chose relationship over activity. Some of us are so busy with no relationship with God whatsoever. We go through the motions without having intimacy of talking to God and relating to God and focusing on God and having communion and fellowship with God. We don't have to always be talking in God's presence. Sometimes we can just sit in his presence. I wrote a song that goes like this: soaking in his presence, waiting on you, Lord, marinating, anticipating for your glory, Lord. Your glory will change us. Your goodness will shine. Your manifest presence is what I desire. When Martha complained, Jesus told her Mary had chosen the better part. Oh, Martha needed help in the kitchen, no doubt. Physical food is important. And there was a lot of work because there were a lot of people. There was the old entourage of people. Jesus had 12 disciples and all the other people that traveled with him. You see, devotion precedes service. Ministry must flow from intimacy, not busyness. Martha was a busy bee, working hard. She was good at working. But Mary, she was not lazy. I'm sure Mary did her part when it came to chores. But this time she sat at his feet, listening to all he said. Sometimes we are distracted by doing for Jesus instead of being with him. You can do things for Jesus. Many of us are doing things. We give our tithe and we say, well, as long as I give my money to the church, I've done my due diligence. God wants more than your money. Oh, we need to tithe. We need to give our tithe and offerings to God. We need to bring those into the local assembly. But don't be guilty of doing for Jesus instead of being with Him. You can be with somebody and not yet be with somebody. To be with somebody is to give them all of our focus and all of our time. We need to prioritize being in His presence daily. In your presence there is fullness of joy. My cup is running over, always running over. In His presence there's fullness of joy. I shared with you the posture of a true disciple. To be at the feet. Martha was busy serving, but Mary sat at Jesus' feet. Sitting at a rabbi's feet was the posture of a disciple. Mary chose relationship over activity. Jesus said she chose the better part. Jesus was not advocating and giving a green light to laziness. Mary was not lazy. She was not trying to avoid work. She was busy, listening, being in the presence of Jesus. Ministry must flow from intimacy, not busyness. Don't be distracted by doing for Jesus instead of being with Him. Practice His presence daily. Prioritize being with Him. That's a lesson we learned from Mary of Bethany. We'll continue in the next episodes that follow regarding this woman who met the Master and was never the same again. God bless you and love ya.